I got involved with haiku because you're thinking, you don't seem very poetic. Hello, guess what we're going to do today? We're going to create a haiku. Now, let me tell you, before you start, you're either thinking you already are a poet and that's why you clicked on this and you're going to get all judgy with me because I'm not as good as you. It's not about how great of a poet you are. It's about the therapeutic process.
So calm down.
And for the other camp who is saying, I'm not a poet, I'm not going to be able to do this. Yes, you can. You totally can do this. So I want you to just enjoy this. It is going to be very therapeutic. You don't have to be a poet. If you are a poet, that's great. Use whatever talent, use what you have to make this the most amazing experience that you can in this moment for you. Now, I would love for you, as you are going through this process, to write some comments below. I would love for you to really give me that end result haiku below. That would be amazing. And why you actually developed it. And you're going to know what I'm talking about in a minute. But really, your interaction is like oxygen to me. And I would love for you to go ahead and comment below. Now, let's talk about how I got involved with haiku because you're thinking, you don't seem very poetic. You're right, I'm not. However, I love poetry. And I decided to read this one book this one time. And I also heard someone speak about this particular author. And I was really moved by this poem and this book. And being the stalker that I was at the time, I decided to really research this woman who was the author of the book and the poet. And I wanted to really just find out more about her, if she had other books and, get more involved. Well, guess what? She had a course. And it was happening. It was a live course, not an online course. So I was going to potentially be able to meet her. So Sonia Sanchez is the person that I'm speaking of. She is an activist and she is a writer and she is a professor and she's amazing. Anyway, let's talk about you and how we're going to work on your healing process and how can haiku help you. Number one, haiku's been around a long time. So it's been around for a long time and it is a beautiful form of art, but it's also just a poem that is usually in a 5-7-5 syllable that is meant to just capture a feeling, capture something very innate within us and capture even a feeling within a feeling. So what I want you to do is just think about something that is painful for you right now or beautiful for you right now and just really start focusing on the different types of feelings that are coming up for you. If you're interested, definitely share them below. You're allowed to comment more than once, so share them below. And I'm going to tell you where I was, because I'm going to give you the end result of a poem that I already did. And I'm going to tell you where I was in the process of it so that you have an example in which to follow. So I was feeling a lot of loss. And I'm talking about loss a lot in January because January was the time that I lost both my mother and my father 10 years apart. So January tends to not be a super upbeat month for me in that respect. But I always find healing beautiful things to do and celebrations to take part in with my family, even if it's online. And we do this and it's fun. A quick segue. You're probably going to see me bouncing a little bit and you're going to wonder, Michelle, what's going on? And I'm going to tell you that I used to have a regular chair. I've always had regular office chairs in here. And I just decided, and it's the most amazing thing in the world, plus it's fun. I'm always looking for ways to put more fun in my life. I don't know about you. I know it probably looks a little weird, but it's fun. I feel like I'm getting more fit while I'm sitting at my desk. It's great for my back. I'll put the link below on this exact chair that I have. I absolutely love it. But anyway, if you see me bouncing, that's what's happening. Anyway, so I'm going to give you the process of what I was feeling when I created this particular haiku. And this is where I want you to get your pen and paper or pencil and paper. Don't use your computer or don't use your phone if you can. Get really tactile with this because this is really an art and I don't want you to water it down. If you have to use those things, that's fine, but really try to use pen and paper. What I was feeling originally was loss. Like I said, I was feeling a sense of loss. And this was a few years ago that I took the course and I just remember just feeling, reminiscent of the past. And so that was the feeling. And the word that came up for me was void. Okay. So think about what you're feeling where you are in your life right now. What are some of the words that are coming up for you? And if there's a few of them, put a few of them down. Just go ahead and comment below. I'm really excited because once you start doing this, you'll be able to create haikus on each one. You can come back to this video, and I will always come back. When I see someone commenting, I always come back and check out the comments. So even if it's a year from now and you come back to this video and you comment, I'm still going to be here. Anyway, so go ahead and write down some of the feelings that you might have. So go ahead and write down whatever words you want. If you need to pause this, go ahead and do that. And then write some words down on a piece of paper and then comment when you maybe have it narrowed down to 1 to 3 words, okay? Now I want you to think about something that you love in your life, something that might be in nature, something that you look at and it's almost where you can't express how beautiful it is. So for me right now, I'm looking outside and there's a beautiful maple tree and there's only now it's winter here, and winter in Pennsylvania is like no leaves are on the trees. It's a little dismal usually, but today is a blue sky. And this particular tree that I absolutely love has 1 or 2 still beautiful red leaves on it, but it's bare otherwise. And I just think it's a beautiful tree, and I'm a little bit in awe of these leaves that are still on this tree because we have had snow, we have had ice, we have had high winds, we've had rainstorms that have lasted for, rain for days, and these little leaves still persist. So just think about, taking something like that, something that's in your life right now. Maybe there's a potted plant in front of you. Maybe there's a pet snoring, like you might hear my little dog, or, anything that's happening in your life right now that maybe is nature focused, or maybe a person that you are thinking about, or a memory that you're accessing. So go ahead and really bring that into it. And if you need to pause, don't do it yet, because I'm going to tell you what I did. And mine was actually not the maple tree. So for this particular haiku, what I did is I thought about that I love butterflies. I absolutely love butterflies and access something like that. So I was thinking about butterflies. So my word that was kind of a raw word, I went with something that was maybe perceived as more negative or sad. I went with void. And then my word or my imagery was butterfly. So if you need to pause now and write down something that really moves you or is beautiful to you, just, bring it right down. So if I were talking about that tree, I might put maple leaf, okay, or red maple leaf, or just tree, or something like that. So think of something that's beautiful to you and then water it down. Now, if it's a particular person, so say it's a child of yours, a child or grandchild, you might just write child. You wouldn't write the person's name. If it is your spouse, you wouldn't say their name, you would just say partner or spouse. So however you want to do this, you want to really generalize a little bit here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at how would a butterfly, for me, deal with void. So what I want you to do right now is how would your nature or beautiful word deal with the raw word, which could also be very positive. So it could be happiness or joy. So you might think, how could a tree connect to joy? And I want you to just write some things down there. I wrote down all of the different ways that a butterfly connects to void. And what a butterfly does is it goes in a chrysalis and it kind of cocoons itself, right? And that's a way that it really is in charge of the void. It really takes power in its own void. It's already moving away from the busyness of this big world and going into a cocoon and creating change. And so I want you to really, take a look at how I did that. So that's just an example. So write down all of the different ways that this can happen for you. So one thing that I might suggest now, I'm not going to tell you to continue to stop the video because that might get old. You'll know when to stop the video, but listen to the whole video, maybe come back and do it again once you've kind of digested it, because there's going to be a lot of creativity here. And I am not a fan of someone that rushes creativity. So let's start going into the next phase. Now what I want you to do is really combine that raw word and the sense of that beautiful or nature-focused or connection word that you have. And I want you to bring that together in 5 syllables. But I want you to start at the end. So my last 5 syllables were ancestors within. Now, ancestors within sounds kind of vague, but hear me out. For me, ancestors within was the butterfly was representing ancestors. They have all these ancestors, the butterfly, the caterpillar, the butterfly, that little being had many, many ancestors. So when they're in that cocoon, they are symbolizing every little caterpillar and butterfly that lived before them. And they are within the cocoon and within themselves. But the ancestors are also within us. So that's how I can connect that. So ancestors within is something that makes sense for me. Now, you can pause here if you need, but the next thing you're going to do is you need 7 syllables. Your 7 syllables are all about what you need in your life. So I was feeling void, and I love butterflies. So for me, it was wings destined to fly again. And so for me, wings destined to fly again was all about a butterfly going into a cocoon, and all the ancestors before really were already showing that little butterfly, that caterpillar, how to live, how to create, how to fly, how to move forward. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at not 7 syllables, but you're just going to look at what you need and some connection between the word you had in the beginning and that second word and the idea or the imagery of that second word. And I want you to come up with just any sentence of what you need or what would feel good. And I want you to get poetic with it, but it doesn't have to be 7 syllables. Once you have the sentence, you can now get playful with words and bring it down to 7 syllables. But listen, if you can't get 7 syllables, if it ends up being another 5, or if it ends up being 12 syllables, so what? You're doing this therapeutically and beautifully. The only reason why we're doing the syllables and focusing on the haiku is it challenges us to get into a specific norm. It challenges us to feel a little bit more and to express a little bit more. And so when we're challenged, we tend to get a little bit more creative, and we have to relax with it. If we get stressed and creative, it just kills our creativity. But if we allow ourselves to feel the fun of that challenge, we become much more creative. So try to get to 7 syllables of something that you would enjoy and something that would release you, and let's go from there. And so the top line is going to be something that just starts everything going. So for me, it was chrysalis opens. It's not rocket science, right? Just chrysalis opens. And for me, it was my heart opening. It was my sorrow being released. It was even anger or bitterness around my parents' passing that was being released. So this is a beautiful way for you to, whatever your word is, whatever your struggle or your celebration is, bring it together. So go ahead and knock some ideas around. And when you get that, go ahead and write that below as well. If you need to pause, go ahead and pause and come back because there's a little bit more. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you my entire haiku, and I'm going to tell you how this can help you as an affirmation or a validation. Chrysalis opens, wings destined to fly again, ancestors within. And so for me, this is beautiful because it reminds me that there's an opening. I can keep my heart open. I can keep my soul alive. I can be free. I can move forward, and I can still hold my ancestors and their memories within without it being painful. And to me, the imagery of a butterfly is something that's so beautiful. So this is why the imagery is very important. When you have an imagery, especially if your word in the beginning was something that was a struggle, when you have an imagery that's beautiful, you're attaching something in your brain, your dendrites in your brain are attaching a beautiful space to something that's painful, and it's making it less painful. This can be a affirmation for you, or a validation, I like to call it. It's something that helps you. And as you write this out, you can put this on your fridge, you can put this on your bathroom mirror, you can keep it at your desk, you can type it out if you need. put it in a lot of different places. I used to actually keep this very haiku just folded up on a piece of paper in my purse. And you know what? Every now and then, even if I only saw it sometimes to clean out my purse, like, oh, what's this paper? And I opened it and looked at it, it gave me a really good feeling and it was very healing. So I hope that you enjoyed this exercise. Let me know what your haiku is and let me know how you felt about this exercise. And I have another video for you. In fact, there's a haiku video for you.